Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then, you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel like I've been having a lot more connection with my listeners through the Q&As and polls. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
A quest is a search for something. And every week, the Quest podcast will show you how we know what we know through interviews with people that have incredible stories of dedication and perseverance. I'm your host, Todd Fischer. Join me in this thought-provoking and inspiring podcast of discovery. Find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hi guys, welcome back to season 3 of A Catholic's Perspective, the podcast about being a young Catholic surviving in a secular world. Today, I have my producer with me, Todd Fischer, and we're basically just going to do a year-end review. We kind of do one of these every single year during the end of the year, just kind of going back over the year, kind of discussing what happened, different changes, big events, small events, personal events, etc. So welcome back, Todd.
Hi, Amber. Good to be back. Is the year over already?
What?
Is the year over already?
Yeah. I am not prepared for 2023, to be honest. I'm still processing 2020. I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat with me right now. I just feel like so much has happened in the last year that I can't even believe it's been a year. It's insane.
It's flown by for sure.
Yeah.
You've had a big year for definitely. I was kind of running the stats before the show, and this has been your biggest year yet. In fact, I think we can just tell everybody all this, but your social media reach is nearly 250,000 people now.
That's insane.
I know not everyone really sees that because some people just tune into you in a Facebook group or some people just tune into you on Instagram, but your total across all platforms, including the podcast, is now 250,000 people.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are the reason I do this. This is awesome. It's interesting to see it too, because I know on Instagram we have more followers than we do on like YouTube or things like that. But when you really add everything up, like it's incredible how many people we've been able to reach with God and everything. It's really fantastic.
I was just talking to Father Dan about this because Spotify sent out their Wrapped stuff these last couple of weeks, and it tells everyone kind of the stats you have for your podcast, what music you listen to. Like everybody gets this for something different. And Father Dan was really impressed with his stats, particularly how many countries he reached. Now you reached like what, 64 countries?
68
countries.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Between like a third and a half of the world you're in.
Yeah.
He didn't have near that many, but he was like, Todd, he's like, I thought this podcast might flop when I did it. He's like, that it has this continuous growth is really good.
We love Father Dan.
And what's really interesting is he's been working on like a super secret project that we can't talk about yet, but
not yet.
But he didn't even record for half the year. So like most of these statistics are based on episodes that he put out at the beginning of this year, because he hasn't had anything out since the beginning of the summer.
That's fantastic. Good for him.
So he was really really impressed by it, that he was getting the numbers that he was getting. In fact, he was actually, for the spiritual and religious category, just for Spotify, he was in one of the top 10% of creators there, which was fantastic. Really good, which shows how small that particular genre is. And of course, in Spotify Wrapped is just Spotify. And of course, for any of you out there that are listening, not everyone listens on Spotify. So our numbers we kind of aggregate from a lot of sources.
Right.
So, your podcast is on maybe 14 or 15 platforms, and I have to tally all those numbers separately. So, Google Podcasts has a different set of results that they send me than, say, what Spotify does. So
Right.
yeah, and Apple has their own numbers that they send. So
I know I'm like on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, something like we're on like a lot of places. I think
Stitcher,
the most,
Radio Play, all kinds of
yeah,
sources.
I think the most popular one is Spotify, and then after that it's Apple, and then Google Play. Those are like the top three that I've noticed in the statistics.
Yeah.
Um, Also being in the top 5% of religious and spiritual podcasts for this podcast was fantastic to see as well. It is a very small genre. I don't see too many people who have, Catholic podcasts. I mean, there's different religions because I'm sure they kind of warp all of that together, just religious versus spiritual kind of podcasts. But there aren't really that many good Catholic podcasts that consistently put out content, I've noticed. Um, Father Dan and I are one of them. And then there's a couple others. I can't remember their names right now. But it's just interesting to see how many people we've been able to reach just through Spotify alone, just through podcasting. And yet we're on so many other different platforms that we're able to reach even more people. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, and the original idea was to take what you were already recording for YouTube and
Mm-hmm.
turn those into podcasts, because we felt like, some people would be maybe driving to work or be at the gym on a treadmill, and they wouldn't really necessarily be able to watch anything. So it would be a nice way to kind of replicate what you did on YouTube, in an audio format. And it's kind of taken on a life of its own. And of course,
Yeah,
this year, while we're on the topic of the podcast, is, this was season 3 we started this year. And we're
right.
at, I think as of this airing, we're at 55 episodes total for all 3 seasons.
Ooh, wow. That's fantastic. I know 2040. Yeah, just about. Yeah. Wow. It's crazy how fast time's gone by.
We're
That's
not near at the
insane.
amount of videos that you've recorded for YouTube, but 55 episodes is still pretty nice.
Yeah, that's still a lot. I think next year we'll probably season four will put us probably around like probably 70.
Yeah. If you keep up doing, over 20 a season. So yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely, from Amber and I both, I also very much appreciate it, because producing a podcast like this, you hope that it gets noticed, and
Yeah.
and it is. So thank you from me as well to all her fans. I wanted to compile some things we could talk about for this year in review, maybe talk about what was going on in the news and the
Yeah.
environment, all that. But I looked at all the stuff you did this year, and I thought, well, this is the episode right here.
Right.
So I just want to kind of go back and kind of talk about some of the highlights of just things that happened with the religious hippie. And one of the biggest things that you did this year was your website launch.
Right. That was really big. That was exciting too, because I think it's one of those platforms where, in case, Instagram kicks me off, just like TikTok did or something, all the information you need is on my website at thereligioushippie.com. You can see the events I've done, past, present, future. You can see the book club information. You can see childhood photos of me, and there's just so much information on the website that I felt like I wasn't able to put out on social media. And so I feel like it's really beneficial for people to really know what my mission statement is and who I am.
And we've been working together for a while, and
Three
we had
years.
talked about it every year. We were like, let's build a website. It never happened. Let's build a website. It never happened. And then finally we were like, this is getting serious. Like, you were really getting some traction, and we did it. So that launched. So that was a big deal, because
Yeah.
now, everything reaches everything as a result of the website. Another big thing that happened, maybe you want to talk about, is your rosary drop, how
Yeah,
successful that was.
we had our first limited edition religious hippie rosaries drop this year, and it was fantastic. They're kind of like a white and orange color bead. We only had 25 made, and they sold out in 2 hours. It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. We had no idea, if people would be interested in it. And
Right.
and you publicized it, but you just never know, right? If people are going to be interested in something. And almost all of them sold out in the first hour. And then
It
we
did.
had like two that hung on for that second hour.
They were like in
And then
people's carts. Yeah.
and we were just like shocked that they went that quick. So, um,
It
yeah,
was
so that
basically
was,
like we put it up and then I took a shower and then I looked again and they were like gone. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay. Not that I take 2 hour long showers, but
And
that
by the
definitely
time
helped the
this
ministry.
airs, by the time this episode airs that we're doing now, you will have already had the chaplet drop. So,
Hmm.
crossing our fingers, hopefully that has met with the same success.
Yeah, the chaplets, the limited edition chaplets, there's only 15 of them that we're dropping. And I'm just so excited for them. They're really pretty. They're blue and they're dropping on December 8th, which when this podcast come out, obviously it's going to be later, but they're being released on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. And so they're a blue color and they're white. It's really pretty.
Well, let's hope that in the past, when these all sold out, we can now say thank you for selling them all out, right?
Thank you guys.
It's like a weird time warp going on right now.
Yeah, I'm talking to myself in the past, but also in the future.
That's not all that happened for you this year. You spoke at a whole lot of places. Your first time really going out and speaking. You did Iowa, Colorado, Maryland, and where else were you? Michigan? Or did you? Oh, no, you
Um,
went to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, we had it. So the first talk I did was in Yorkville, Illinois. That was the very first one, and that was for a catechism class. And I just spoke on my testimony and mental health. And then after that, I had a talk in Denver, Colorado at SOCA, which is it was a really fun, basically retreat slash event for young adults. Bishop Strickland spoke there as well as Father Nolan. I actually got to have dinner with Bishop Strickland. He's a fantastic man, a very holy, pious man. And I got to do a talk on basically traditional Catholicism and my reversion. And then that was a really fun time. I really loved being in Denver. The Catholic community there was just really fantastic. And I got to meet up with my manager, Anthony, who also helps out a lot in my ministry. And we got to sightsee. He took me to the Columbine Memorial. He took me to the Chapel on the Rock where Pope John Paul II walked up I think it's, oh my goodness.
There was a trail there.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember. It was a specific trail though. I think it's Stations of the Cross. I think that's what it was. We didn't go up there because it was like really windy, but it was still really cool to see. And we took a lot of pictures and things. And then from there, I had a talk in Wisconsin, which was really fun. I had a talk in, oh my goodness, Iowa, a talk in Delaware. That one just happened not too long ago. I had a couple. They were really fun though. I really enjoyed the talks with the young kids because they're just so receptive of things and they kind of soak things up like little sponges. And age range, like when I say little kids, I should probably say more like teens. And then of course I did some younger kid talks, but the teenagers were really receptive of the information in my conversion story.
And
And
Delaware, well, that was a college.
yes, Delaware was the college, University of Delaware. That's where I spoke. It
Yeah.
was a really fun time, and I got to meet a lot of young adult Catholics who really enjoyed my talk. I talked on mental health, social media, and basically my experience with those things. I was also featured in their newspaper, which was The Dialogue, and that was really cool. That was a really fun experience. I loved that.
It was something we talked about a lot early in the year about you going out and doing speaking, and you sort of booked those first small ones on your own, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of grown. So now that you kind of had your pilot program, your test of this, are you enjoying it? Are you ready for more next year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was intimidated at first because I'm a homebody and an introvert, so I like to be home and new places are a little bit intimidating. But the more I've traveled, the more I've gotten used to it. This was my first year ever flying. I've never flown before outside of this year. And so I had to learn to do that on my own. And shockingly, it was really easy. I expected it to be a lot harder. But no, I absolutely love it. And I cannot wait for the speaking events we have lined up for 2023.
Yeah, I understand there's maybe two or three that are already
Mm-hmm.
getting
In the
booked. So
works. That one, I'm excited for those. Those are going to be really
people
cool. I
will
can't
have
announce them
to,
yet, but yeah,
no, I don't think the ink's dry on the contracts yet for that,
not yet.
uh, but yeah, it's going to put you in some new parts of the country for sure. So that'll be exciting.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I love traveling and just getting to meet people in different states. Like the Catholic communities from state to state are so different. And I'm so used to the Catholics in Chicago that when I go to Colorado or somewhere else, the environment is completely different. And it's just really cool to see how Catholic communities differ from state to state.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We talked about you launched a website, but a little later in the year after the website launch, you launched your shop.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So you put out some limited edition mugs. You have
Mm-hmm.
some economy rosaries, probably a lot of cool stuff to expect next year. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was really excited for that. I was trying to decide what would be best to put on the shop for my followers. And I realized that I have a lot of followers who are just getting into Catholicism. They don't have a lot of money to spend on like a $70 rosary. And so the economy rosaries are an affordable way to be able to afford a rosary. Um, and I love them. There's a bunch of different colors and varieties. The mugs are awesome. We actually just put out a religious hippie book club mug, which is awesome. I love that one. That one just launched actually a couple days ago, but when this podcast comes out, it'll be like a month ago. And those are really fun. I really like that one.
We should
Overall,
give
though,
we should give a shout out to the artist Ariana Victoria,
oh,
who
we
did
love
the
her.
the who did the cool cartoons.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to see the other stuff that she does, arianavictoria.com. And there's what, maybe 4 or 5 mugs that are going to come out in the collection.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yep.
we have a collection basically coming out. And the first one was limited edition. And so the other ones were lining up, are going to be really fun. I'm really excited for those. I think you guys will like them too.
Yeah. Yeah. The first one that we put out just came in what, a couple of colors, pink, blue, black. I
Yeah.
think but
Yeah,
it
it
was the
was
same cartoon on all of them. And then, the new one is the book club one.
right, right. Yes. And then the other ones coming out, there'll be a different cartoon of me, but it'll be the same theme.
Right.
So to speak. And so it's going to be like a little collection item, which I think is really fun.
These are all the Disney hippie line of mugs, right?
We don't like Disney, but I do look like a Disney princess. That's literally what all of my friends have said.
That's
They're
funny.
like, wow, you look like such a Disney princess. And I'm like, oh, that's thanks.
The
That's great.
economy line is probably going to expand too, right? Are you going to will we see economy, prayer books, Bibles? Are we going to see other economy things in the economy line?
I definitely want to. I think that would be very beneficial. I definitely also want to make sure that the economy items I'm giving out are also quality. And
Yeah.
it's really hard to find places that give you bulk quality. Um, but at the moment, I'm working on that for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely in the works.
What else can we expect from the shop next year? Anything you can tease or ideas for stuff that you want to do?
I really want to do t-shirts and I really want to put out maybe um like some tumblers or something. I can't exactly say yet because I'm still kind of deciding on certain things, but shirts and sweatshirts are definitely something that I want to
I,
lean towards
I
because I
already
think
feel
that
my blood pressure raising.
Todd's like, don't make me do this, please. I mean, yeah, they're difficult, but if we start on it now, we'll see how it goes. I can't really promise anything, but definitely a lot more merch I hope to put on the store in the next coming year. And with how successful the store has been, it's been able to support the ministry so that I'm able to do this because between being a full-time college student and trying to run a ministry and babysitting and everything else in between, if it can be really hard trying to continue doing something when you
Yeah.
don't have the funds for it. And so that's why donations are just so wonderful, being able to afford new equipment and make quality
Right.
items and things. Yeah.
That's one of the trickiest things with things like this. I have a nonprofit company myself, and I think sometimes when people see someone or something, a project being successful, they think it's a sellout move. They think that you're making all of this money, but as the infrastructure grows, it's harder to support that. So everything you're putting out there, all the mugs, the economy rosaries, there's a slim profit margin that happens there. And with that profit margin, we have to use it to make other things and grow your ministry, because the bigger we can grow the ministry, the more things that you can offer as services or products, the more people you can reach. And
Exactly. It's a trade.
and
And
that's and this actually circles back to something I was saying earlier with Father Dan's podcast, is that I was kind of telling him, the podcast is about, kind of putting butts in the seats in a way,
mhm,
because he knows, being at church, it's butts in the pews, right? Like that's what you have to do. You want to fill the church up. But with a podcast, we have the ability to reach far more people.
right.
And that's such a valuable service. And with you, I said earlier, as we open this episode, you have a 250,000 people across all your social media. To me, that's butts in the seats. Those are people that are listening to what you're saying and a message you're delivering, and that gets expensive. Zoom costs money, and the infrastructure for the website and all those things cost money. So when people buy it, just something as simple as a mug, you don't know how great that of a thing that is, that you can support this and let it grow.
Exactly. And I really do appreciate everyone who's either donated or has bought something off of my shop, because it really goes a long way being able to continue doing this ministry and reach more people, and reaching people in 68 different countries apparently. And it's just really fantastic. But the issue is that I am a young adult, and I doing things full time can be very difficult when the ministry costs money and I put my own money into it. And so it's very helpful when we do get donations and things, because it helps grow the ministry, and it helps me be able to continue doing the ministry as I continue college and things.
That's right. I make
Mhm.
$68,000 a year working for the religious hippie, so we need the donations to keep coming in to pay my salary. I'm
You
kidding.
get paid.
I do this for free, folks.
This is volunteer work. Maybe it'll get you some time out of purgatory.
I don't even have a mug.
I should send you one for Christmas, like
I
I do
got
with
a
the t-shirt.
I got a really terrible t-shirt last year that said world's greatest producer.
It doesn't
This
even fit you,
this
but it'll
t-shirt
go
is
in your
endorsed.
museum.
Yeah, this t-shirt is endorsed by the religious hippie, it said on the back. And she sent me
That's
like a size medium. I'm a 6'2" guy.
not that I actually didn't want you to wear it, but at least it'll be able to be in your museum one
In the
day if
Museum
you
of
decide
Time,
that.
yes.
Yes,
Too
yes.
funny. Too funny.
Oh,
But speaking of kind of like us working together, we met this year to work on a super secret project.
we
We won't
did.
talk about it in this episode, but we will
Mm.
probably be talking about it sometime here in the spring of the year.
I'm very excited for that. I think you guys are going to be really happy with it.
It is huge. Like
Yes.
whatever you think you've seen Amber do up to now, this super secret project is by far the biggest thing yet.
I'm going to learn how to daredevil flip over the Grand Canyon, guys. No,
Even
I'm
a
just
bigger fib than mine.
well, I can dream. I can dream, Todd.
But yeah, so that was fun. We're like 3/4 of the way through this super secret project. We still have a little bit more work to do on it.
Yeah, we have to
Um,
schedule that in, but overall,
but
it's coming along very nicely.
but it will be a huge announcement. Probably late winter, early spring, we'll be announcing that. So we have
Make
been
sure
working on some really big things in the background.
yeah, make sure that you're signed up for my newsletter so you can stay on top of those big announcements. That's really helpful.
What
I
can we
noticed,
Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, you go first.
What else can we expect from the religious hippie in 2023?
A lot more talks. I'm hoping to eventually, I don't know if this is going to happen in 2023, but eventually I would like to go abroad and do talks outside of the United States. That would be really exciting. Um, Obviously, more things on my platforms. I also kind of want to revamp my YouTube channel a little bit more. I kind of want to do longer videos, and I want to be more into the apologetics of things. I feel like I covered most of my own personal stories for the most part. And so the apologetic side of Catholicism, I'm leaning more towards. Um, and besides that, just oh, there's a few things actually. Um, hmm.
We launched the book club this year, which is something we should talk about because that's been, we're a couple months into that.
That's true. We're about three. This is the third month. Well,
Yeah.
when this comes out, it'll be the fourth month. The book club was a wonderful idea because of the fact that, we don't have a lot of Catholic communities where we're at. At least my friends have told me that who live in different states. Whereas I do have a Catholic community that's fairly good. So I figured I could take that Catholic community and put it online, and we could have a religious hippie book club where we discuss books, Catholic books. And the first book we read was The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, technically not Catholic. But that was a huge hit. Everybody loved that one. The second book we just finished reading was Fighting for Life by Lila Rose. That's a pro life book. That one was fantastic. We had a lot of good conversations out of that one about being pro life. Father Dan loved that book. I remember he gushed about it for like weeks. It was great. Um, and then in December, we're reading The Imitation of Christ. So that's really exciting. That's my favorite book. If you guys have been following me since the beginning, I talk about it consistently. And so overall, it's just been really wonderful getting to know people from all different parts of the world. Different countries have joined us on Zoom, and we have these really deep discussions, and we just kind of have a community on there. And I think it's something that a lot of people benefit from.
Yeah. And that goes through March of next year.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's still going when this podcast come out. We still have it. You guys can
if you
sign up on
haven't
my
joined
website.
it, then, pick up joining another month and another book and
Yeah.
try it out.
Signups are between the 1st and the 7th of every month. So make sure you sign up.
Yeah. So that was big. So looking back on this on 2022, this has been a really productive year.
It really has been. And, there has been so much that has happened. But at the end of the day, I'm just like so grateful that the ministry is still alive and well, and is still reaching more people than ever, because that's all I really ever wanted, was to reach people who have fallen away from the faith or who are curious about the faith, share my own testimony, and hopefully help them with any kind of reserves they have about Catholicism or misunderstandings and misconceptions.
I know you've kind of gotten a crash course in running a business this year.
Yeah, thanks to
We
you.
we had a conversation about it early in the year about whether, you want to take this bigger. And
Yeah.
uh and I remember one of the first things I had you do was to put a giant wall calendar up.
Yes.
And I
It's
was like, we need at least 18 months. And you were like, why 18? You really fought me on it.
uh-huh.
And now
I
you
was like, why
totally
do we need that much
understand why.
room? See, I'm a slow learner, guys. It takes me a little
Well,
while.
it's you have to, because you can't plan anything for tomorrow, right? Like you're planning
Right.
quarters and quarters out. So this shows you what, I think the people listening can understand, like, what's going to come out 18 months from now.
Exactly.
That's what's really brilliant about all this, is the stuff that's planned out so far in advance that you all will be just completely dazzled by.
And
So
it's just,
just
and it guarantees that there will be content, because
mhm.
I remember when I first started all of this, it was all over the place. And you taught me about organization and scheduling and how to make sure we put stuff out on time. And then from there, we did get the calendar, and we've just been able to plan things well in advance to make sure that the ministry continues reaching people and we continue putting out content and, merchandise and stuff.
Yeah. So I wish you all could see the calendar because it's pretty impressive, but you'll
Yeah.
have to wait and see, and just know that there's lots of cool stuff waiting to come out, things you've not heard of yet that are going to really be amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited for a lot of it. And I know I can't talk about it yet, but I am very excited for all of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have anything else. I just wanted to kind of, go over the broad strokes here, but it's been really just a miraculous year, and just so much. So, like, if one of those things had come out, if you only did the book club, it would have been, interesting and fun, but you did got a lot of stuff out.
It's been a lot, just like recapping, traveling by myself, going to places by myself to do talks. We launched the website. We launched the shop. We put the book club out. We launched our first limited edition Religious Hippie rosaries, the chaplets. It's just insane to me how blessed the ministry is, and God just continues to provide. And of course, through your help, Todd and Anthony's, and the help of my team, it's just been a wonderful time growing this ministry, and I hope it continues growing. Because
and your girl talk co-host Chloe, let's throw her in there too.
Oh, I thought that's. Ooh, sorry, my alarm almost went off. Drew, yes, I love her. And she's been a huge help with the organizational process and doing the Girl Talk episodes with me. We're best friends. If you guys haven't listened to the Girl Talk episodes, even if you're a man, even Todd has to listen to them because he has to edit them. Although he sometimes for sure skips through them. Yeah. I still highly suggest them because I think you guys can learn a lot about women.
Right.
And how crazy we are.
Exactly. And a special thanks to anyone who's been a guest on these episodes. We couldn't have done it without you. You're part of this too.
Oh yeah, we've had amazing guests. Yeah, I love each and every guest that comes on the show. They give their time and their effort to share Catholicism or their own story or the pro-life story. And I just really appreciate them taking the time out of their busy schedules to come on my podcast and share it with my listeners. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, that's all I've got. You want to do this again next year in December?
Yeah, let's do it. This is going to be so fun. I can't even imagine what next year is going to hold, but I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, I'll let you take it out.
All right, guys, with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this year-end review and just stay tuned for the stuff coming up. Remember to sign up for my newsletter on my website at thereligioushippie.com so you can stay up to date with all of the changes going on and any limited edition drops or merch we have. With all that being said, I hope you guys have a great new year. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much for listening to A Catholic's Perspective with me, The Religious Hippie. Make sure to visit my official website at thereligioushippie.com, and while you're there, be sure to sign up for my newsletter to keep up to date with my latest news and offerings. You can also find me on virtually any social media site as The Religious Hippie. Thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Father Daniel Duplantis, a Catholic priest, martial artist, and host of the Karate Priest podcast. Have you ever wondered what the church teaches about different topics? Are you a martial arts enthusiast or just someone who wants to learn more about martial arts? I'd like to invite you to join me and many guests on my podcast as we cover topics of faith, everyday living, and martial arts on the Karate Priest podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please be sure to rate and review this episode. This podcast is produced by Todd Fischer and Anthony Smith and is distributed by Metacortex Publishing. This podcast is copyright. Any previously trademarked or copyright content is used by permission. Information and opinions stated in this podcast should not be construed as medical advice. Please be sure and visit the official website for Metacortex Publishing at metacortexpublishing.com or find us on social media for other unique content.